Renaud, it's so good to see you. Oh my goodness, it's been a long time since I've seen you in person. Welcome to Policing TV, and thank you so much for agreeing to provide us with an interview about your incredible law enforcement career and the latest chapter of your career, working at the Center for Homeland Defense and Security, where you're actually currently at. I mean, you and I have been at many meetings before at the IACP and many other places. But before we go on, Chief, when we talk about your latest adventure at the Center for Homeland Defense and Security in Monterey, please tell our audience a little bit about your incredible career. I obviously know about your career because we've been, running along each other for many of the same years. And then we also have another thing in common, both of us having worked in the Gulf Corporation Council, known as the GCC. And as you know, Policing TV very much caters to an international audience. So please, Chief, tell us a little bit about your background.
Thank you, and good morning, Eddie. Well, I'll say good morning here in California. I think it's good evening where you are.
That's right.
Very nice to see you again. And thanks for the opportunity to have just a couple of minutes to chat with you and your audience today. To start with my career, I would say that my career is just like thousands of other police officers' careers around the globe. I've spent 30 years protecting communities and serving people and being there usually at the worst moments of their life. And that's just the consistency of what policing and what law enforcement does, what peace officers do around the world. What a great example of that global connection as I'm talking to you when you're in the UAE, I'm here in California. We've met at many IACP meetings, International
That's right.
Association of Chiefs of Police, and then also shared some work in the private sector in common regions as well. So my 30-year career in law enforcement was spent with 3 different agencies here in California. I started with the Long Beach Police Department in 1991 and spent 20 years there working a variety of assignments from patrol to investigations to an academy director position, and had a fabulous time in that 500,000 population community, just really growing up in the profession.
Yeah.
I left Long Beach and joined the Folsom Police Department, which is in Sacramento County in California. And I was there for 7 years as their chief. And then I transitioned back down to Los Angeles County and spent my last 2.5 years with Santa Monica as their chief of police. Somewhere in between all of that, I went to a couple of IACP meetings and was really fortunate in being asked by the president of the association at that time to join the board and be on the executive board in an appointed position. And once I started serving the association and the IACP, it is international, which was so wonderful to get exposure to other policing agencies around the globe, which reaffirms what I started with. The job is the same everywhere. It's about people. It's about protecting people. It's about winning. And so in 2016, I ran for an elected position on the board for 4th vice president, and I was successful in that, which then transitioned me through the chairs. And in 2020, I was the president of the IACP. Some notable things, I remember several meetings that we had in different countries. We were with the Garda Síochána in Ireland one year, and we were touring with one of their patrol stations, and we were talking about the problem of homelessness. And they were sharing with me how they were approaching the issue and what their successes had been, where their challenges still were. And once again, just that fact that resonated with me, that all of it. So I retired at the end of 2020 and took my first private sector job in the GCC, working for a corporation, really doing some strategy work around the future of policing and the future of public safety. Fast. It is a different perspective in our organizations now. We work from where we are and we look forward. And we have whatever issues we have in our community that we're trying to improve upon and build upon and move forward from. But in the job I held in the private sector in the GCC, I was able to start with the vision and work backwards
Yeah.
and have just a green field and a completely clean slate of how do we want to build this from the physical
Yeah.
buildings that the officers are housed in to how we build our community connections. And it was so interesting. And I really enjoyed that. I spent 2.5 years in the GCC. And then I came here. I was offered a position at the Center for Homeland Defense and Security at Naval Postgraduate School. And I was a student here. My second master's degree is from Naval Postgraduate School in Security Studies. And I'd been teaching a little bit and facilitating a little bit in some of the programs here at CHDS. And then I was offered a full-time position, which I couldn't pass that up for reasons we'll talk about shortly. And I'm
Sure.
now CHDS for about the last 6 or 7 months.
Wow. What a fantastic career, Chief. And, as I heard you describing your career, I couldn't help but think of all the parallels that you and I ran together. So you started around early 1990. That's about the time when I started my career. We completed about 30 years of service. I also worked at 3 different law enforcement agencies, with my second one being the one where I worked at the longest. And then just the wonderful opportunity that you and I have had to travel internationally, not only with the IACP, the International Association of Chiefs of Police, but also in our, retired career, in our civilian career, if you will. And just the opportunity that we've had not only to learn from other countries, because I am learning so much about policing here in the GCC as they are for me, because what we do in the United States is very unique and very impressive to other parts of the world. But likewise, I come here and they think that they're going to be listening to me and me telling them how to solve the problems of a country. And lo and behold, when I hear them speak, I'm like, wow, those are great ideas. I wish we could have had those ideas back where I come from. So yeah, I just really enjoy hearing you describe your career, because it just really mirrors a lot of what I've done. And I just know the incredible impact that you've had to thousands of people, not only in California, but also as a fantastic leader with the IACP. So congratulations on that.
Oh, well, thank you. You're very kind. And, working over this technology platform right now, what an exciting time we had when we
Yeah.
started our conference all those decades ago. We were on the cusp of some of these changes. I mean, I remember when I think I was a sergeant and my boss came to me and said, all right, don't type up a memo anymore and put it in the inner office envelope to go to the downtown station. Here's this thing
I
called
remember
email.
those days.
And now, Eddie, think about the generation that's in to the workforce
Yes.
now and into the profession. Think of what technology is already doing for them, going to do. I mean, the growth by leaps and bounds. The fact that you and I are talking while I'm in California, you're in the GCC, this is just taken for granted now. This is another great part of the project that I just came from, was really the ability to not only explore with emerging technologies, but partner with some startups that had some really cool ideas and help in that entrepreneurial space, which is also a tie-in to what I do here at CHDS. But getting people in our line of work globally to think like entrepreneurs, to think like a profession, and have a startup company mentality. I know that sounds a bit trite, and that phrase is used so much recently, but the future of policing is there to be written, and it will be written by all of these bright young people who are doing the job today. And it's just great to watch.
Yeah. And it's funny how you mentioned how the evolution of technology has really changed policing. Yesterday, I was talking to a police commander here in the GCC, and he mentioned how patrol officers here in this particular country get in their vehicle, log onto their computer and get their full roll call briefing without having to go to roll call. I mean, I don't know about you, but in my career, going to roll call was like a really big highlight. I mean, that's where you caught up with what had happened the previous 24 hours, or if you were on your 3 days off or 2 days off, whatever the case may be, that's where you caught up on what happened out on the streets but I mean, for me, roll call was a very big thing. I got to see my colleagues. We got to interact. I mean, it was a great briefing opportunity. And so I couldn't even imagine doing policing today without a formal roll call briefing, the kind that you and I were accustomed to, where we get together in person because we had no choice. But today's generation, I think right after Corona, like working from home became such a norm that all of a sudden you can do your job virtually and actually more effectively, because the information that he shared with me that they push out during these virtual roll calls is more comprehensive than what we would have covered in a traditional roll call, where the sergeant's sitting in front of the room of 7 or 10 officers, giving up the lineup for the day and just covering a couple of few bullet points and then hitting the streets.
Yeah. Yes, I agree with everything you're saying. I also feel that this is where leadership comes in as we
Yeah.
move into this age in the policing profession. There is one thing that will never change about our profession, and that is that we are in the people business.
Sure. Yes.
Sometimes sadly on their worst days. And as we look to how we bring technology in, we have to do it in a balance that preserves the human interaction.